I'm bursting. I'm so excited about this video series. It's the complete guide to launching a modern web agency with stuff that actually works today. So we're taking all the old ideas, we're making them fresh again with a fresh approach that actually works. This morning, a DoubleStacker said, "Hey Lee, I got over 60 leads in less than a week from a couple organic Facebook posts." So we're gonna talk about why that works, but we have to start at the beginning. I've got over 30 different videos planned for this, but the first one is how to pick your niche. So that's what we're gonna get through today. By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly what niche to pick. A lot of times there's a lot of options and people feel really kind of roadblocked by that, but I'm just gonna tell you what I would do if I were in your situation. And I kind of am, because my son is launching his web design agency and it's so much fun. I get to help him with that. He landed his first $10,000 client, won the DoubleStack trophy in just a matter of weeks. And so we're gonna talk about why that worked. But it all starts with picking a niche. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know what niche to pick, what features to look for in good clients, how much money you can make, even if you feel like you live in kind of a rural area like we do, and how to expand your offer as you go so you don't feel like you have to build out a huge thing before you get any clients. But in just a little bit of context, this is not for people selling international websites, like trying to land international clients, because we're gonna be talking a lot about local businesses and local marketing, but I've got slides. So another thing that's a little bit different from my past videos is that I don't normally do slides, but there's so much information, I felt like it'd just be really helpful if I just put some slides up. You could see what we're talking about. You could pause the video, take notes if you need to, and it's gonna be, I'm just bursting with excitement over all this stuff. Let's jump into the slides. All right, let's take a look at how to discover your niche. And this is a really weighty, heavy question for a lot of people. And you might be thinking, well, I wonder what businesses would be fun to work with and what are my skills best suited for? So if you find yourself wondering what kind of business to focus on in terms of picking your niche, just go with local businesses. And you might be thinking, well, is local businesses really even a niche? It's like, yes, it's definitely a niche. And we're going to put some boundaries around who we're looking for and who we're not looking for. So you can see what we're talking about with regard to the local business niche. And even in the future, and we'll talk about this again towards the end, like in the future, as things evolve, you might refine your niche even more than this. But in the beginning, just start with local businesses. And here are the parameters that we want to put around it. We're looking for local businesses that have in-person relationships with their customers. And so that means they either have a physical location, like a chiropractor or a med spa or something like that, or they have a service area business, which would be like carpet cleaning or pool maintenance or pest control, where they come to you. But either way, it's in-person, physical interactions with local businesses. You want to make sure they're capable of generating at least $100,000 per year in revenue, because we're going to be talking about pricing here in a minute. And the least amount of money that you'll be charging is $5,000 per year. And many of your clients will be paying you more like $10,000 or $20,000. And so if the client can't generate at least $100,000 per year, why do they need to pay you like $10,000 in marketing? Like, that wouldn't make sense. So we're looking for businesses that have that capacity, even if they're not there yet. You can work with startups, but you just want to make sure that they have the ability to generate that kind of money. So we're avoiding like side hustle businesses or people just trying to make a little extra money selling something on Etsy or whatever. We're looking for like actual businesses. We're trying to avoid franchises. So I don't like to work with franchises or MLMs like Mary Kay, Avon, LuLaRoe. And it's because there's a lot of restrictions on what you can do online for marketing those types of businesses. And a lot of times you can't even build a website. You have to use the website that you're given from like the parent company or whatever. It's just a mess. So I avoid that. And then I'm looking for business to consumer or business to small business. And business to consumer is the best because they spend the most money on web design and online marketing, because their consumers are, think about social media, for example. Like, the whole idea of social media is to be able to connect with individual consumers, or business to small business, like tax preparation or bookkeeping or something like that. But not so much like commercial, like large scale business to business, like commercial real estate or something like that. Because most of those businesses get their customers or their clients through like conferences and in-person stuff, right, as opposed to online marketing. There's a few industries that I want to avoid. Individual real estate agents, individual insurance agents. It's really difficult to get traffic and authority for an individual because a lot of these people are competing against large brokerage firms and stuff. So I tend to avoid those two groups. I tend to avoid regulated businesses like CBD products, firearms, politics. If you've ever tried to run an ad on social media for any of that stuff, it's just really hard with all the restrictions and stuff. So all other things being equal, I just try to avoid those. So let's take a look at some examples of some good local businesses. We got tree service removal, computer repair, roof repair, HVAC sales and service, auto glass repair, kitchen and bathroom modeling, pool installation, window replacement, basement waterproofing, whole house electric generators. And these are all types of businesses that you can just find on almost any local community. But there's even more. There's golf courses. In fact, one of the clients that we're onboarding right now manages a golf course, carpet and upholstery cleaning, pool maintenance, pest control, pet grooming, power washing, professional photography, chiropractic care, med spas, salons. There's so many different types of businesses that are great to work with. And hopefully this list will kind of get your creativity going as to what types of businesses you want to be connecting with. These are all great businesses. Local connections are easy to find. So another reason that I really like working with local businesses as your niche is because it's so easy to connect with people just kind of in your area through networking groups like BNI, Chamber of Commerce. I was a part of a BNI group for like 6 or 7 years. We've got a local Chamber of Commerce right here too. These are all great ways. They're like networking events where you meet with people, usually once a week, and sometimes you can even get leads from the members themselves, or the members can send you leads, or sometimes you have the opportunity to give presentations and kind of underscore your authority by talking in these groups. So it's just a great idea to get connected with one of these if you can find one. Local meetup groups. I just joined a local meetup group. The difference between what I'm calling a networking group and a local meetup group is the networking groups, you tend to have to pay some money to join. I think our local Chamber of Commerce is like $150 or $200 a year or something like that. I think BNI tends to be somewhere around $1,000 per year. So it's not crazy expensive, but it's not free. Local meetup groups, though, you can oftentimes find free groups to attend. They're a little bit less formal. The way that ours meets, our local meetup group is on the first and third Thursday, so it's not every week like these networking groups do. But it's free. You don't have to go. We have like a charity that we kind of sponsor a charity every month. So I think this month we're doing the animal shelter. So like you don't have to give money to the animal shelter. They just kind of ask that you do in exchange for being able to go to the group and everything. So those are great ways to meet with local business owners, even for free. Personal relationships is another great way to connect with people. Like my daughters both play soccer and volleyball, and I was just sitting at a volleyball competition or game the other day. And I'm sitting next to Scott. Like he's the dad of one of the other girls on the team, and he owns a roofing company. And so that's awesome. Like church, going to a gym, just anywhere where you meet with people, you'll probably be meeting with at least some business owners, or if not business owners, people that work at local businesses that could connect you with the business owners. And so it's just so easy to connect with these local businesses, and as opposed to like online only stuff. But the key is to go places where people see you regularly. You want to if you just go to like one networking group one time and then don't go anymore after that, people don't really get to know you. You don't really get to know them. You're not really building trust and relationships. The key is to just keep going over and over. Like keep going to places where people see you on a regular basis. And then local relationships convert faster than online only relationships. You can build trust faster the more you have in common with people. Like we were just talking about Scott, we have these mutual friends. So like if I go to the volleyball game, I'm talking to Scott, and then I become his friend on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and then I reach out to someone else, even if it's online. Like even if I reach out to somebody else online, and they're like, oh, well, Lee is friends with Scott. Now that we have this mutual friend, I should be friends with Lee. And so my son, Micah, he just started doing this. He wasn't on Facebook at all before starting his web design agency, and he went from 0 to over 500 Facebook friends in like a couple of weeks, doing this exact thing. Like we go to the local meetup groups and everything. We meet people, we become friends online. And then the more friends we have online, then Facebook even starts recommending, hey, do you know him? Do you know him? Do you know him? And then the more mutual friends you have, you're like, well, of course I should be friends with him. We have 17 friends in common. And so it's just such a great way to kind of build your network, as opposed to online only, where like if I'm friends with somebody in Virginia and then I reach out to somebody in like, I don't know, Texas or whatever, then it doesn't scale. It doesn't snowball like it does when you're focusing locally. We just talked about kids are on the same sports team, which is another reason that these relationships grow so fast, and it's stuff that we have in common, and we see each other regularly, and therefore it'd be fun to do business together. It's easier to reach decision makers. Like I was just telling you, I was sitting right next to Scott, who literally owns the roofing company. Or even if you're just talking to someone who just works at a local business, they can get you connected with the decision maker, which is so much easier than trying to like only send emails and like Facebook messages to strangers or whatever. It's so much harder to get through to decision makers when you only have online only relationships as opposed to also in-person connections. And plus you have reduced competition. You're only competing against people in your local area, and you can really quickly dominate your local area. Like I just mentioned a minute ago, that one of the guys in DoubleStack got over 60 leads in less than a week from a couple organic Facebook posts targeting his local area. And so we'll talk about that in a future video as well. But it's just not that hard to overcome and just dominate your local area when you're focused locally like that, as opposed to trying to dominate the entire country. There's something much broader. So what about building a community around yourself? I'm going to have the opportunity to speak at local events because I go to this local networking group, this local meetup group that we're just talking about. Literally last Thursday when I was there, he said, the guy that runs the group said, hey, would you mind giving a presentation about how to generate leads for local businesses online? And so now I'm going to have the opportunity to speak to a group, and that further underscores my authority as someone who knows how local marketing works. And I'm doing it for free, and I got invited. I didn't even have to make that arrangement myself. And that's a great way to start building a community around yourself. And even on top of that, I've been thinking about maybe even just doing like going to the coffee shop down the street and just announcing that I'm going to be there on Facebook. And if anybody who wants to talk about how to get more reviews on Google or something like that, I can help them with it for free at the coffee shop and just kind of build that community around myself. And that's going to put me in the spotlight. I'm going to become the go-to resource for local marketing, which is going to be awesome. And you can do it too. It's not that hard. Because you're only focusing locally, you're not trying to be like the go-to resource for the entire country, just for the people in your area. And because of all the trust factors and everything we already talked about, it really scales up quickly. And then you can do fun stuff in your community to support local businesses. Like here, we have the grand illumination where we light this big Christmas tree outside of the courthouse, and all the local businesses come and support it. And you can actually meet them. They can set up booths in the high school gym, which is literally like right next door to the courthouse. And so I just went and met a bunch of people that did cool stuff. Like the guy does drone photography, which is a great connection for web design too. So there's all kinds of people that you can just meet just doing fun stuff in your community to support local businesses. And there's money to be made in local communities. I think a lot of the reasons that people think that they don't want to focus locally is like, oh, nobody in my town will spend any money on their business or whatever. And I think it's a really limiting belief to think that nobody will invest in their business, even in a rural town. Like I live in this town called New Kent County, which is about 20 minutes outside of Williamsburg. It's not too far from Richmond. I'm kind of like halfway between Williamsburg and Richmond. But I'm in this kind of rural town in between those two kind of very popular locations. And it's easy to, like everything that I was just telling you about the networking groups and all the people that we've talked to and met with are in New Kent, like are in this really rural town. And so the pricing is in line with what anyone can afford in their business. Our starter package that we're offering is $375 per month with a $500 setup. So that's $5,000 per year is kind of our baseline kind of entry-level package. And you only need 20 clients at that level to generate over $100,000 of recurring revenue per year. Which is awesome, right? Like, so that means you could go from 0 to over 6 figures in less than a year simply by getting 2 clients per month, like 1 client every other week at this low price, right? Like at this very affordable price. And there's over 150 businesses in the New Kent Chamber of Commerce alone, right? So I'm not even talking about Williamsburg. I'm not talking about Richmond, but just in this, what I would consider to be a rural town, there's over 150 businesses in our Chamber of Commerce. And so it's only $12.50 per day. $375 per month is about $12.50 per day. And that's less than lunch, right? So like, I just refuse to believe that there's fewer than 20 businesses out of the 150 that are in the New Kent Chamber of Commerce that wouldn't buy lunch for their business at $12.50 per day. I mean, it's not like a massive amount of money to spend. So I feel like when you kind of look at it like this and you can just see all the numbers, it makes sense why working in local communities is the fastest way to generate leads, close deals, and break through 6 figures just with a couple clients a month, like 1 or 2 clients a month. There are some challenges working with local businesses. So let's dig into a little bit of what the challenges are. The first one is you do have to go outside your house and see people. Like it is important to build those in-person relationships, not to rely exclusively on online-only relationships. And for me, like I'm kind of an introverted person. I wouldn't say that I'm shy. I just don't really like going out into big groups. And so I found that if I can just take that first step out of the door, then I start having fun. Like but like getting myself to go out the door is the hard part. But if I can just start going and then I go to the networking group or the meetup or whatever, or give a presentation somewhere or meet some people or whatever it is, I almost always have a good time, meet cool people, have fun. but you do have to go outside and actually engage with people in order to make this work. The next thing that's kind of a challenge is that, especially in our local area, people just don't have a clue what's going on technically. They're super low-tech people. And I think if you were going to focus more like on a broader audience, like a national audience, you would just naturally find yourself connecting with people that are a little bit more tech savvy, because you'd be reaching out with online-only marketing tools. You'd be sending Facebook messages and LinkedIn and emails and stuff like that. And the people that are responsive to online-only outreach are probably going to be a little bit more tech savvy than the people that you meet with these, with kind of like within your local community or whatever. But there's things that we can do to overcome that. We'll talk about that in future videos as well. But that is one issue, the super low-tech aspect of it. And there are also very low price expectations for websites. So the people in our local community, and probably yours too, are thinking that if you were to charge $5,000 for a website, that would be pretty expensive. Why would I do that when I can get like a website for like $50 on Wix or something like that? And so we're going to have to deal with that low price expectation. But again, we've got a ton of future videos about how to do that. The main key is to make sure that you're offering a solution that actually drives measurable results for the clients. So you're not actually selling $5,000 websites, you're actually selling business results. And so you can get into value pricing rather than being seen as a cost. So we'll talk about that again in a minute. But there are some audience narrowing features. So when we talked about focusing on local businesses as your niche, we were starting out by saying that we're going to be focusing on pretty much any local business that met a few relatively easy to meet criteria. But where is this going for the future? And what will happen is you'll probably find yourself niching down even further as your business grows. And we'll talk a little bit about how that works, because you'll add features that refine your offer over time. And some of those features might be audience narrowing features. And if you want to get a jump start on all of this, I put together a quiz. If you go over to doublestack.net/niche quiz, you can answer, I think it's like 7 questions. And it'll kind of point you in the direction of how to define your niche even more. Like what area within the sector of local businesses is going to be the right fit for you. And another way to look at it would be, what types of local businesses will pay you the most money based on your expertise and the skills that you want to put together. So if you head over to doublestack.net/niche quiz, you can do that. Plus, at the end, I'll also email you a free course. It's called the Lead Lab. It gives you 8 ways to generate leads organically, and there's step-by-step video tutorials for each of those 8 ways. So that's all going to be in the email that you get when you fill out that niche quiz. So you'll figure out what niche is best for you. You'll get the Lead Lab. It's awesome. Check that out if you want to. But audience narrowing features. Let's get back to this just for a second. We talked about the in-person relationship aspect of your local businesses. And the reason for that is because that's what's required to have a Google Business Profile. So if you do not have in-person interactions with your clients, Google will not verify your profile. And one of the things that we put in our package is Google Business Profile Management, helping people get reviews, helping them to boost their visibility on the map pack and stuff like that. But if the client doesn't qualify for a Google Business Profile, then they can't do any of that stuff. And so this feature narrows the audience down to local businesses that have in-person interactions with their clients. So that means it's not online-only businesses, it's not national businesses, it's not e-commerce. It's a very specific type of local businesses, local business, which is why I was saying that local businesses is actually a niche. Because of the local in-person aspect of all of it. But you might find that as you go along, that you might want to focus on bringing in features like getting leads to Angie or Home Advisor, and that would really mean that you're focusing on home services. In fact, an example of focusing on home services even more would be to help your clients get the Angie Super Service Award, which is a particular type of award that the best businesses in Angie get, which would really help your client stand out on Angie, but that only applies to home services. It wouldn't really apply to like health and wellness or chiropractors or whatever. So again, take that niche quiz, go over to doublestack.net/niche quiz. If you want to see if your skills and your interests kind of point you towards home services, that quiz will help you figure that out. Customer loyalty is another type of audience narrowing feature set, so to speak. For example, you might want to automate the nudging of the next appointment for one of your clients. So for example, let's say you're working with somebody who does dog grooming, and that's not really a subscription, but you probably go to the same dog groomer every time, or chiropractors, or dentist, or med spas, or something like that. Like places where you probably go on a regular basis, but you're not on a subscription. You might want to help your client say, hey, you know what? We haven't seen your dog in the last 6 months, and I bet he's getting kind of fluffy. Why don't you bring him in? And so you can like send out automated kind of nudges to let people schedule the next appointment. So if that's the kind of thing that you're interested in, that would mean that you're kind of shifting towards local businesses that really thrive off of customer loyalty. And so that would be like dog groomers, massage therapy. But if you find yourself working with businesses like auto glass repair or kitchen remodeling, then customer loyalty is not going to be that big of a deal. Like, how often do you remodel your kitchen? It's not like, it's been 6 weeks since you remodeled your kitchen, I think it's time for another. Right? That would be that's kind of silly, right? So it depends a little bit. So, but you're narrowing your niche simply by the features that you're offering. And that's kind of where we're kind of going in the future. But in the beginning, we don't have to start there. One other category of like feature or like audience narrowing features would be retention. And so that would be things like reducing the churn rate and keeping members active for longer, getting more transactions from the same clients who might be on some kind of a membership or subscription with the business. And so that would mean that you're building things like insiders clubs and members only content, or building online communities and stuff like that. So again, all of this is in the future. We'll get to this in the future as you dive deeper into the local business niche. In the beginning, we're just focusing on people that can qualify for the Google Business Profile, because that's going to be a part of your offer. So work with local businesses because that's the fastest way to get leads and land clients. But remember how we were just talking about how the value of websites are so low right now, especially in the minds of local business owners? Well, what if you shifted away from being seen as a cost and started being seen as a value generator because of all the problems that you're solving? Well, what are the problems? Well, that's what this video is going to be all about. Now, I'm launching a new video once a week. If you don't see the link here yet, it's because the video isn't ready, so subscribe so you don't miss it. But this video is going to be a deep dive into all of the problems that we can solve through web design and online marketing, so people will see you in terms of the value that you generate. And this is going to just skyrocket your margins because you can get into value pricing rather than trading dollars for hours and everything. So that's going to be a huge video. In the meantime, check out this video up here. It's the authority framework. It's the 4-step process that I use to break through 6 figures with just 10 monthly partnership clients. Plus, if you sign up for that right now, I'm also going to send you another video course for free. It's called the Lead Lab. It's 8 ways to generate leads organically with step-by-step video tutorials. So either way, I'll see you in just a minute.